Also, how do you become rich? Mr. Quinn.
Unfortunately, I'm not Jewish. I can't answer the question on how to become rich. So, which is quite interesting if you're the Israeli chamber and you're headed up by the first non-Jewish person, which I am. I've only been there 6 months, so talking about dress code, I had to wear blue and white for Israel today. So that was my choice this morning. Okay, it won't be bilingual, guys. Sorry, this is just going to be in English, by the way. If we... Just to tell you a brief bit about ourselves, we've got literally 5 minutes. Firstly, I'd really like to say thank you to Kevin and Howard and the team for putting this together today. It's a wonderful initiative. It's something that I'm being keen to do for the chambers to talk to each other. Your members, of 80 members, we've about 130. We need to get them to network. It's not just about trade with your home country, Israel or Taiwan, but it's also about trade and networking in South Africa amongst your members and our members. And we're very keen to do more of that, which hopefully we can do in the new year. And basically the brief I was given was to focus on these areas here. So I'll be covering those today. Okay, brief history. We've been around since 1935. I wasn't there in those days, just in case you thought I might have been that old. But it has been going for a long time. It was funded by a chap called Morris Labner. The Labner family are still very involved with us. Bertie Labner and Mark Labner, they're the president and chairman. So one family has taken a lot of responsibility to keep this going. Initially it started a lot trade between Israel and South Africa, and I think there's a lot of commonality between the Taiwanese situation and the Israeli situation in terms of the world politics. One thing I think is important to mention that we try, as a chamber, we do not get involved in politics. We're apolitical. Obviously, the country we represent and trade with, there's something like 30 to 35 Jewish associations in South Africa. The Zionists, the Federation, there's Friends of Israel. There are a lot of Israeli associations. And a lot of them, some of them are political, some of them are Zionists. We do not get involved with that. We are purely focused on trade. And that's our standpoint. Initially, when it started with trade between Israel and South Africa 35 years ago. In 1935. If you remember back then, Israel had hardly been formed. It hadn't, in fact, only got formed after the Second World War as it stands now. And a lot of the trade was from South Africa into Israel. Israel was a very young country in the middle of a very big desert. However, times have changed, and currently Israel is a very strong country, especially in technology. And Mr. Ambassador, you mentioned about ITC. I was thinking Israel are very good on the software side, and I think Taiwan is very good on the hardware side, and together they make all of us tick. So from that side, Israelis have a lot of technology in agriculture. They're very strong in agricultural technology. So at the moment, there's a lot of technological benefits one can get out of Israel into South Africa. Sadly, and much like in Taiwan, South Africa largely is just giving resources to Israel as a major export. So it's just, I think, a South African problem that we provide resources to the world, unfortunately, as opposed to taking those resources and making them something of them. We send them out, get them manufactured, we buy them back. We've got to try and change that. It's not a long-term strategy. Okay, historically, we've been funded by membership fees largely. We do not have any government funding, unfortunately. We also have occasionally a few lovely members who give us some money to keep going. Some of the richer members, some of those rich Jewish people that Howard was talking about. And there's a reason they're rich. They don't give membership fees to the chamber. You think it's tough. Just because they're rich, it's harder. One of the things that's interesting about the chamber, that the CEO I took over from had been there for nearly 15 years, so there's a lot of stability in the heading of the chamber. He left about a year and a half ago, so the last year has been a bit uncertain until I've been settling in there. And yeah, I mentioned that. If you look at our actual membership, we have, just a bit of background, we have different categories. We have patrons, gold and silver category. They pay in the order of 35 to 50,000 a year. We have red members, blue and white. So those are just different categories. There's different pricing levels. White, which is our cheapest category, is at 7,000, and your benefits accordingly are accordingly to that. Our number's about 130 members. the question was, who's our most important members? I don't think we have the most important member. Every member is important to us, and they bring value in different ways. Some in networking, some in just being there. The members we like, obviously the funders, the sponsors, those that keep us going. Those who actively participate. It's no good having members that never come to an event. It's not an active chamber, so we don't just want members, we want active members. And the networking ability of our membership is important. Other thing you may be interested in is our members are, I don't know the exact ratio, approximately 50-50 Jewish and non-Jewish. We're not, just because we're an Israeli chamber doesn't mean that all our members are Jewish. Certainly they're not Israeli, so we have a slight difference there. But they're half-half, and a lot of them just want to trade with Israel or just want to be associated with the Jewish guys. So it's a mix in membership. This is unfortunately a bit small, so I'll try not to unpack it, and I think this is more for Kevin and us to talk about how does our chamber, how are we structured and what do we focus on. Maybe it'd be better if I just take this. So in membership, one area that I noticed that also we already learned, and some of you are thinking of, is a youth league, as you have. And we would also like to focus on the youth league. We also need a bit of dancing in the chamber. Sorry. Let's see. So, two areas that we focus on. One is within South Africa, one is within Israel. Fundamentally, we were created to trade with Israel. And as I say, that's varied. I think the question Kevin asked right up front, what is the purpose of a Chamber of Commerce, is very relevant. If you look at the American, the British, there's a lot of advocacy, there's a lot of comments about trade. If you look at us, we're not in that league. We're a lot about working with our members and primarily and secondary actually working with Israel. So although we're an Israeli chamber trying to promote trade between South Africa and Israel, which is this side here, and there we do research, we send delegations to Israel. That's about stakeholder relationships within South Africa. We still got to work more with the DTI, but certainly with the Israeli Trade Office. That's our fundamental purpose, but in reality we became very strong on the membership side, and we've almost become a big network organization in South Africa for our members, with Israel almost being secondary for a lot of the members. So, which is quite unusual in the sense of a chamber definition. Here we get new members, we give them specials, we're creating databases of products and services to do electronic networking. We have magazine comes out 3 times a year, two monthly newsletters. One that's quite interesting is the South African one, is the club one. What events, what's happening, it's just the club. The other one is the Israeli newsletter that comes out in the middle of the month, and there we list by sector, by agriculture, by medical, opportunities that we hear about in Israel, conferences that are happening in Israel, interesting new developments that are coming out of Israel. So the Israeli newsletter is a good way to promote what is happening in Israel and give an opportunity for local members to say, yes, please, I'd like to do that with you. And as I say, so we have the two newsletters with different focuses. CRM, we're working a bit more online. Our website needs to be upgraded more. And then the big issue we have for is networking. Down here, we have a bit of support. We have about 6 staff in total. So we're not a very big chamber. In terms of current issues we're facing, funding is always a challenge for a chamber, especially when you don't get funding from your government or any other area. So we have to rely on our members. We're fortunate as well, and I don't know if your chamber would be the same, but we have members. There are some members who purely support us because they're Jewish and because we are promoting trade between South Africa and Israel. So we do have sort of loyal members who are there for the cause, if I can call it that. Other members are there just for the drinks and the party, which is also okay. They still provide membership fees. We don't mind, we're not fussy. The members, as I mentioned, the fee structure a bit earlier, we're looking at the issues we're facing is how do we charge them? 7,000 is high if I look at other chambers as a minimum. Our average membership fee is 14.5 a year. So what should our fee structure? We don't charge members to come to events, we rely on sponsors. Is that the right way to go? And then how do we create new markets, like I said, more networking opportunities. Meeting members' expectations, which is actually quite easy as long as you can figure out what the expectations are. And you meet with members and say, should we do morning events or evening events? And one guy says morning, the next guy says evening. So I'm not sure which event to do. So it's a challenge continuously trying to see what do our members want and how we meet it. The other, obviously, topical issue for us is the political and trade environment. Even though we are apolitical, we're obviously within a bigger context. Israel has been in the news a lot, and that is an issue. You may be interested that I actually took all our members' names off our website because they were being targeted by certain groups, and we didn't want to promote that. And then I got a phone call, why did I take the names off? Somebody who was looking for names to target. So obviously we're part of the bigger environment, but we don't go there. Our relationship with the trade office and the embassy is very good. Our relationship with the ambassador is very good. And we appreciate that, even though we're independent of each other. The big issue as well, which I'm hoping to get a bit out of today with listening to Kevin and his feedback from those, what is the role of the chamber? What are we supposed to be? As I say, we're really a large networking group locally, but with a link to Israel, but what are we? So that's a key issue for us. And then the other, I think, topical issue is today's agenda is inter-chamber working together. How do we do more of that together to the benefit of all our chambers? Thank you. If there's any questions.